through 8 against Sask. What happened, Jamie?
Yeah, got away from us. It was pretty close till the fourth end, and then they got a big 3 on us. We had a bad break on 2 of my shots where we just kind of, missed by a fraction, and that's the name of the game when you're in the Brier. It's a tough competition, right? So, I missed by a fraction, and then Saskatchewan made a really good shot for 3. Then, it kind of slipped from there. Shot 2 the next end, missed by probably about a centimeter, and it just kind of fell after that. The momentum was on their side with the fans and the way they were playing, and that's how the sport goes. Any sport goes. When you get on the wrong side of the inch, it can go bad, but when you get on the right side, it can go really good.
It can go bad fast. Like my good friend watching right now, Brent from Florida, when we were out on his fishing boat, he goes, if you don't know what you're doing out here, it can go bad fast. But you do know what you're doing. 14th Brier, as I mentioned, representing the Northwest Territories, and a great start at 4-1. I mean, were you shaking that thing off before you even walked off the ice? You got to have a short memory in tournaments like this, right?
Yeah, for sure. So, you got to shake it off. So we'll go have some lunch and we'll relax. We don't play till tonight at 7. So we got some time to figure it out. And it's like any sport. Next game is the new game, right? So whether you win or lose, you got to shake that off and regroup. Next game, it's a brand new one. We're still in it, 4-2. We got 2 big games left, so we've got to go forward.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
What's your read on the Tarasenko to Florida deal?
Well, I like it a lot for the Panthers. There's no question. Expiring contract, no doubt. Senators get a couple of picks back. They'll split the remaining salary the rest of the way, right down the middle. They're loaded on the back end, as we know. This is a deep, experienced team that believes that they're confident enough to win. And if this is all they're going to do, I think Bill Zito feels pretty confident with what he's put together down there in South Florida.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. Yes, welcome to your favorite daytime sports talk show. Really happy that you have chosen to spend the next 2 hours with us, right? Because we know you have a choice out there, as the captains say. Thank you for choosing us here on Game Plus TV, WQEE Radio down there in Atlanta. I wonder what the Atlanta Peachtrees are doing in advance of the NHL Trade Deadline. Let's bring in Darren Moose DuPont, as he has been all week, broadcasting live from the Montana's Brier. And for the first time, that's not the big story. That's not what we're going to open up with in moments. But, Moose, we'll get more of a Brier update a little later on. But just tell me, what's the scene, what's popping down there at the Canadian Men's Curling Championship in the Brandt Center?
It's another morning with the kids. The school kids are here again this morning. So it's loud inside the Brandt Center, just on the other side of the doors. Great games on the ice. It's the final day of the round robin, so all the playoff positions will be decided by the time we go to bed tonight.
Yeah, we've got that coming up. By the way, the guests today are Daniella Ponticelli, voice of the Professional Women's Hockey League. I was watching her game last night on Bally Sports Florida. Alan May, Washington Capitals TV analyst. And we had a curling guest who has bailed, so I'll scratch his name. But I'm just excited about this. Director Jordan has got his hands on the robotic camera. Take that thing for a spin, Jordan. Just give it a spin. Show the world what Darren's looking at right now. Oh, he can't. He says he can't. He doesn't have control of the joystick. Well, you did it an hour ago. I want to sit and watch that thing under surveillance once we get off the air. Oh, causes a lot of issues, the guys are saying, to do it on the air. Okay, you can just do it for practice. Well, that's too bad, because the thing spins around like R2-D2. You and I have both seen it. Looks up, looks down, and we can actually see who's fiddling with our stuff at night when we're not on the air on the RP show. So that's what we'll do tonight. Can you hit the quick six show horn, please, Director Jordan? He can do that. Okay, it's a large... We got a lot of people to talk to today. I'm talking about like the audience, a lot of sectors. Panthers fans are excited with their trade yesterday and an announcement this morning. The Leafs just made a trade we're going to get to with that. The Rough Riders had an announcement with a all-star retiring and joining the front office. There's all this. And then before we get to the big story, Darren just brought up women's soccer like about 15 minutes ago. And I was like, what? What? I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't. We got all these new viewers. I don't want to explain to them. It's not SportsCenter where we're going to cover every sport. No, it's what I care about. So Darren's bringing up, I don't even know what the hell you were talking about. It's not that I'm anti-women's soccer, but I can't. I suck. I'm out. I can't, man. That's how much is going on right now. What the hell were you talking about?
I know. The Gold Cup. Canada played the USA last night. Again, I wasn't sitting in front of my TV set watching it, but I had a lot of people sending me, some videos. I know some people that are in the soccer game in Calgary. So a game that was played on really sloppy conditions. Everybody's upset that they even played the game because the ball wasn't rolling in puddles of water. But the USA beat Canada in penalties to advance in what was a close game, but everybody was upset about it.
Yeah, I didn't even know that they were playing it. And it's funny you say people are sending you stuff. You too, huh? News flash. You can keep sending me stuff. I'm never looking at it. I think everybody thinks they're the only one sending me something.
I know.
About 50 to 60 people on a daily basis are sending me reels, sending me links. I'm just, thank you. Moving on. Here's what I am focused on. The big story. The Toronto Maple Leafs acquired defenseman Joel Edmondson from the Washington Capitals this morning for a pair of draft picks. The deal announced just over 24 hours before the NHL Trade Deadline adds size and experience to a blue line that was also bolstered by the acquisition of Ilya Lyubushkin last week. Toronto sent a third-round pick in June, along with a fifth-round selection in 2025 to the Capitals, who will retain 50% of remaining salary. The 30-year-old pending UFA has 1 goal and 6 assists in 45 games this season. That was just this morning. I'm reading now from the wire copy from the Canadian Press that moved last night on the Sports Wire. Stanley Cup contenders aren't waiting until the trade deadline to shore up depth for what they hope is a long playoff run. The league-leading Florida Panthers got deeper on the wing by acquiring Vladimir Tarasenko from Ottawa. Connor McDavid's Edmonton Oilers added a pair of centers in Adam Henrique and Sam Carrick from Anaheim. The New York Rangers added a player they coveted in Alex Wenberg from Seattle. Bruce Boudreau forgot his name this morning on NHL radio, and that's not even his fault. It's a lot to take in. The trade deadline alone, let alone football news and women's soccer and what the Blue Jays are doing. Anyways, I continue. Colorado loaded up by getting defenseman Sean Walker from Philly and center Casey Middlestat from Buffalo. The Calgary Flames have traded defenseman Noah Hanifin to the Vegas Golden Knights for draft picks and defenseman Daniil Muramanov. So before we get Darren's take on all of that, let me just ask this. I'll put it to the audience, a couple of things. Our poll question today for Key Auto Group. And the Key Auto Group is driven by safety. Experience peace of mind with our comprehensive multi-point inspections. Visit keyautogroup.ca for automotive excellence. And our poll question is which Western Conference contender has made the best moves this week? Dallas, Edmonton, Colorado, or Vegas? There are other contending Western Conference teams, but they haven't really made moves this week. And leading the way with the vote is Vegas. I voted for Vegas. What would be a good way to answer this? Who's got the best player in all of this? Probably Noah Hanifin. Oilers got a couple of depth centers. We don't know today how this is going to play out. We'll find out who wins the Stanley Cup, or at least who's in the Stanley Cup final out of all of this, out of those 4 teams. Jets and Canucks haven't really done a whole lot this week. So I'm voting for Vegas, and I have some thoughts because people are pissing and moaning about the Golden Knights today, and they're taking advantage of loopholes. I'll get to that in a second. How are you voting on the poll? Which Western Conference contender has made the best moves?
Yeah, I like the move from Vegas. And the thing about Vegas is they've been able to add pieces, have cap retained, and they still have most of their top draft picks, their first 3 rounds of picks over the next few seasons. They have more assets if they want to keep adding to this team. So they're interesting. And anybody that's complaining about Vegas finding loopholes, you shouldn't be complaining about Vegas. You should be wondering why your team's not doing it, because they're doing it. So what's wrong with your general manager that you're not pulling off these types of moves? But as you've said, that's Kelly McCrimmon, and he's always going to have the Golden Knights in the hunt.
You just stole my thunder, but that's okay. We're wearing similar clothing today. We have a similar line of thinking. This came across my radar. A guy out in Steinbach, Manitoba, put it on Facebook today. He says, the NHL is favoring the Golden Knights. If you don't think that, you're an idiot. Listen, okay? I'm used to it. Lived it. Been on a rival team from Kelly McCrimmon. Here's my suggestion to you. Roll over, grit your teeth, and just take it. That's all you can do. Because there ain't nothing else that you can do. Kelly McCrimmon's going to find these loopholes. His team's always going to be in contention. And as you just said, your team can't figure it out. I lived that for 15 years. It sucks. And there ain't no way out of it, so just deal with it. So that's our take on that. Although Joel Edmondson, I watched Washington when they come in here 2 Saturdays ago. I thought he was okay. He's in the top 4 defensemen of the Washington Capitals. Former Moose Jaw Warrior. This ain't Ray Bourque switching teams. I feel like people are waiting for the earth-shattering lightning bolt of a trade, and that's not really happening. That might happen tonight with Jacob Markstrom or tomorrow morning, but Joel Edmondson's a Leaf. Can we start engraving the Stanley Cup with the Toronto Maple Leafs on it, Darren? Like, what do you think about this move?
Yeah, I'm okay with it. The Leafs needed to find some depth on the blue line. You really need to be hard to play against when the playoffs come. Comes from good culture and a good organization in Washington, so checks a lot of boxes. I'm really curious to see what Alan May is going to have to say about this move. He's intimately been watching Joel Edmondson and the Washington Capitals now for a number of years, so that's going to be really interesting. Coming up later on in the show, I'll be dialed into that. But it's a good move. Again, the Leafs core, doesn't matter what moves you make, we need to see the core show that they're ready to take the next step, that they've matured, and they're ready to dig in when the playoffs come. You can add all the pieces you want, but it'll be up to those guys that are already there to win them, rounds and games in the playoffs.
Yeah, plus people forget, it was brought up Ray Bourque here. That's why I mentioned his name. If you go back and look, he was a deadline deal for Colorado, but they didn't win the Stanley Cup the year that they got him. That was 2000. He's played a whole nother season there in 2001 before they won. But I think people are just looking for that earth-shattering move that I don't think is there. Chad Yanchicki writes in. He's watching in Minnedosa, Manitoba. And Chad says, everyone's so mad at Vegas for taking advantage of the long-term injured reserve, but if it was their team, they wouldn't say a peep. I'm a Canucks fan. I wish our management would work these loopholes. We shouldn't be surprised with McCrimmon at the helm. He's a winner all the way. We miss him here in Brandon. Nobody else misses him in the WHL's East Division. From my cousin, Jeff Goda, watching in Calgary, Alberta. He writes in, he says, suckers, nuts. You already gave it too much love. Love the show. Signed, my cousin, Jeff. His dad was the Hall of Fame coach of the Calgary Stampeders and Saskatchewan Roughriders. Jack. And if he's not in the Hall of Fame, he's in our Hall of Fame. Right, Jeff? And that's all that matters. Okay, this is the Quick Six Show Topics where Jeff's realizing now you want to get in live, when we're live, because this thing replays later on at 5 p.m. Eastern, all across Canada and 31 U.S. states, but you can actually interact with the hosts if you join us live at noon Eastern. So the curling, that's why we're there. Playoff spots will be decided today on the last day of pool play at the Montana's Brier in Regina. The top 3 teams in each of the 2 pools advance to Friday's round of 6. From which Saturday's 4-page playoff teams will emerge. It's actually more simple than it sounds. Saskatchewan's Mike McEwen secured top spot in Pool B Wednesday night with a 9-3 win over Nunavut's Shane Latimer. The last Saskatchewan skip to win the Brier was Rick Folk in 1980. Before you jump in, do you think Rick Folk, who I believe is still alive, as a matter of fact, I know he's alive, he's living in Kelowna, BC, is like the 72 Dolphins? Because around, you know the story. Bob Greasy, Larry Zonka, any still alive members of the 1972 Miami Dolphins, the team that went unbeaten all year and then went on to win the Super Bowl. They never lost a game all year. As soon as the next, a team, the last unbeaten team in the NFL, every year loses, they all meet with a bottle of Dom Perignon, crack it in the street, and drink it together. That nobody's going to break their record. Do you think Rick Folk's like that? celebrating this drought continuing, or do you think he wants it to end? What do you think?
I'm going to say curlers are a little different. I think he wants it to end. I do. I think he wants it to end. He'd love to have a little more company, in the winner's circle. And I'm sure he'd love to pop that champagne with Mike McEwen and toast him. I think curlers are a little different that way. They'd like to share the history together.
You're saying they're a little more sportsmanlike than football players, which, to be honest, football players, I believe, are the least sportsmanlike of all athletes. And trust me, I think I'd know. I've worked in just about every sport. So I'll say that again. Is it unsportsmanlike that the last living members of the 1972 Dolphins get together and toast when their record goes on for another year? Is that unsportsmanlike? I think it's funny. I'd probably do the same thing. But I also see where you're coming from with Rick Folk. I don't think it's unsportsmanlike to do that, do you?
No, I don't. Not for the Dolphins anyway, because they're not sitting there wanting the Dolphins to lose. They'd love the Dolphins to win a Super Bowl, but they just want to be the only undefeated team because it shows that they're the greatest team in history. If that's the case, they can lay claim to that. Rick Folk, it's a little different in this situation. You want more winners. You want Saskatchewan to continue to do well.
Yeah, greatest team of all time. I think it's just kind of a funny story. Some NHL leftovers, and then we'll break, and we've come back with football news, the CFL news that I foreshadowed. Cale Makar had his first career hat trick. Nathan McKinnon extended his home point streak to 31 games with a goal and 3 assists, and the Colorado Avalanche beat the Detroit Red Wings 7-2 Wednesday night. Austin Matthews scored his NHL-leading 54th of the year at 4:20 of overtime to lift Toronto past Buffalo 2-1. Willie Nylander also scored to help Toronto rebound from their 4-1 loss to the Bruins Monday night, and they visit Boston tonight. Alex Killorn scored the tie-breaking goal early in the third period, and Anaheim beat Ottawa 2-1 in the Toilet Bowl. So we'll talk more NHL leftovers. We'll get to the viewer comments and see what other trades have come down here about 24 hours away from NHL Trade Deadline Day. I knew it was going to be a busy one, and I knew that we would get through it with another award-winning edition of the Rod Pedersen Show live on Game Plus TV, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
Everything I've worked for, everything I've sacrificed has led to this. It's out of your hands now. All the gold medals in the world can't help you now. You could throw the perfect rock and still miss, but it just takes one. You leave it all out there on the ice to leave behind a legacy.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Everything I've worked for, everything I've sacrificed has led to this. It's out of your hands now. All the gold medals in the world can't help you now. You could throw the perfect rock and still miss, but it just takes one. You leave it all out there on the ice to leave behind a legacy.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. BDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hey, honey, can you get one of the kids to show me how this Twitter thing works? Honey, I need to get on Instagram. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hey, everybody. Thank you, Rick Regan. Welcome back to the RP Show. And in a minute, you're going to get a real lesson in how this show is different than all the rest. I just want to tell you that when we talk hockey, it's brought to you by Common Crown Brewing Company out of Calgary, turning your everyday common beer into a unique and exceptional experience. They know the best beer is the one that's earned. Visit commoncrown.ca. Let's please bring in the Moose. And before I jump, just to continue on, Moose, with the quick six show topics. And he is at the Montana's Brier, where it's the last day of pool play. Playoffs coming up on Friday. Got this back and forth going with my cousin Jeff Goda here. And again, his father Jack was the coach of the Stamps and the Riders. And I thought he was in the Hall of Fame. Turns out, I guess he's not, old Jocko. And so Jeff has written in. He goes, you bet, Rod. It should have been a no-brainer. He goes, I guess they didn't like his defection to the World Football League, the WFL. And he says, tripled his pay, got police motorcades to and from the games for the whole family. It's too bad. Oh, boy, Jeff, we'll take it outside. Cash me outside, Jeff. We can't talk about this here because we could go on for hours and nobody else cares but you and me. But here's what I will say about your dad not going into the Canadian Football Hall of Fame or Riders Plaza of Honor or the Stampeders Hall of Fame. He didn't kiss enough butt. That's what it comes down to now. No, I'm serious. That's what it is now. And Jocko was not the kind of guy that was going to do that. Anybody watching that knew him would agree. That's Jeff's dad. And my step-uncle, but I loved him. And Ray Yawk, they're voting for the Canadian Football Hall of Fame right now. The committee's getting together. The CFL runs it. It's not a satellite, its own committee anymore. The CFL runs whoever gets into the Hall of Fame, and they're deciding whether or not Ray Yawk should get in. He's not got long. Okay, he's in his 80s. Talked to his son, Joey, and he's like, Rod, can you use any influence to help get my dad in? We tried to get him in last year, and they wouldn't put him in. Ray Yawk, for God's sakes. If anybody should get in, it's Ray Yawk, and maybe he didn't kiss enough butt either. I don't know. Or maybe we'll hear that he's in this year's class. I'm not sure about that either, but it's just, Darren, you know that phrase, I didn't realize at the time how important it was until later. Do you know what I mean? The accolades when they come. When I went into the Saskatchewan Rural Sports Hall of Fame in 2003, the summer of 2003, I was 30 years old. I literally had no idea at the time how big a deal that was. So for the rest of my life, I can now say I'm in the Hall of Fame. Saskatchewan Rural Sports Hall of Fame. But at the time, I was like, I'm too busy doing my business. I was the voice of the Riders, voice of the Pats, morning sports, doing all this stuff. It's important stuff. And it's unfortunate that they hold snubs like Jeff's dad going to the World Football League back in the day. 40 years later. Anyways, moving on the football vein, the Buffalo Bills, salary cap-related purge of players cut deep into the team's core. Veteran safety Jordan Poyer and center Mitch Morris were among 5 players the team announced it had released. And cornerback Tre'Davious White is also being cut. The person spoke to the associate. The source spoke on condition of anonymity because the Bills did not announce White being cut because of the timing of his release is designated for June 1st. You understand, man, with all the money at stake now in pro football specific, let's just say football only, but you see it in the CFL, the NFL, you're going to see these catastrophic signings like, what are you doing? Getting rid of it all, pro safety. Because we got to. For the money. I think you're going to see more and more and more of these just nonsensical moves. They don't make sense to us. Probably the team accountant made these moves. You know what I mean?
Well, they run into trouble because you end up, the salary cap went up, what was it, by $30 million, but so did the salaries. And the quarterbacks want a bigger piece of it. The star receivers want a bigger piece of it. The offensive tackles want a bigger piece of it. So where do you cut, right? Other positions are going to get squeezed out, and you're going to see a lot of discrepancy. It doesn't mean everybody gets the increase in pay. It doesn't. So, Josh Allen is earning more and more and more money. Stephon Diggs earning more and more money. You want to add certain players and have some room, you run into cap problems, and great players will get released. It's just the way that, pro sports goes. So there's going to be some good free agents available, but they're not going to get this type of money they're used to.
Exactly. So people just get used to this stuff. Breaking news from the Canadian Football League this morning. Linebacker Larry Dean is calling it a career after 8 incredible seasons of CFL football. Dean retires 25th all-time in CFL defensive tackles. Wow. Let's remember they didn't start counting that until the late 90s, but still, that's very impressive. 4-time divisional all-star and was the East Division's nominee for Most Outstanding Defensive Player in 2018, among many other accomplishments. He is joining the front office of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And a little later on, I'll get to what the Blue Jays are doing. I wanted to go back to this. Specifically, I said I would be speaking to the people of Calgary today, Flames fans. I don't know what you're hearing. I haven't heard a whole lot. Like tonight, the Flames are at the Tampa Bay Lightning. I'm calling it hockey night in Florida. The Philadelphia Flyers are here at sunrise to take on the Florida Panthers, and I'll be there. But the Flames are at Tampa. Is this Jacob Markstrom's last game for the Flames? I mean, the whole situation, it was a cliffhanger. It was like the last season of Shameless. You know what I mean? Like, so the trade fell apart with New Jersey. Is it not going to happen? Markstrom made these bold statements that ticked the team off. If they don't trade him, Darren, how do they live together if this doesn't happen?
I know. And once you know it's over, the relationship is over, you kind of have to move on. There's kind of no undoing that. And here's the thing with Markstrom. I think, he's, available to be a free agent. Is he not? I have to double check his contract status. But if he wants to go to New Jersey and he's got a no trade clause, then he's going to go to New Jersey. So you're handcuffed anyway. Make the best deal that you can. And it's an interesting, okay, he's got some time left on the deal, but if he wants to play there and doesn't want to play in Calgary, what's to say he's going to come back next year? He's going to hold out. But, there's a couple of schools of thought here. On the one hand, you're a Flames team that's trying to scratch and claw into the playoffs, so you want him to play. But the trade deadline is on Friday, and you don't want him to get hurt. So I don't even know if he'll play tonight. Based on that, he might not even play. So he might have already played his last game with the Flames.
Yeah, I got to look. That's my point. There is so much going on. I have not had the opportunity to look up expected starters tonight in the Tampa Bay Calgary game. With all these other trades, trying to stay on top of it all. Brent
Markstrom is confirmed to start.
Well, okay, so is this his last game? That's where we started this whole conversation. I want to hear from you, Calgary. Brent in Florida writes in, he says, Calgary seems like they will be on the clock at the draft the entire night with the amount of draft picks they got in the fire sale. Well, that's where Flames fans have to be happy. Believe me, I got it. I mean, I heard the situation of the Flames and their fans, but once I was there for the good part of 2 years, I really feel it. It's like you're asking us to be patient again. You're asking us to trust again. And it's like, well, what choice do you have? And Darren, as a Leafs fan, I think you understand that, right? It's like we're not going anywhere. It's better to be a Leaf fan. At least you're going to be in the playoffs and contending, right? Think about that for a second.
I know. At least there's, the top end is there. You're always contending. You're just waiting to get over the hump. But there's always a chance. With Calgary, you don't even know if you're getting into the playoffs or what the future of the team is or who's the next cornerstone franchise player. That's, where's the next Jarome Iginla? And who's that going to be? They thought it was Matthew Tkachuk. It's not. Is it Huberdeau or Kadri? Probably not.
Wow.
Who's going to be that next young player that's going to take the reins in Calgary? A tough place to play.
It could have been Tkachuk had he wanted to stay. That's, again, we're not Flames TV, but you're right. He is that good. Had Tkachuk stayed and spent his entire career there like Iggy basically did, he could have been that guy, but he didn't want to stay there. And that's where the Flames, again, need to look in the mirror. I don't think there's any mirrors in the Saddle Dome because it's always everybody else's fault. They don't ever want to look at why these players don't want to be here. That's where the change will happen, but they don't care to do that. Nelson, our VP of Sim Events, writes in regarding the Vegas Golden Knights circumventing the salary cap by using the long-term injured reserve list. Nelson says, honestly, that loophole makes the playoffs more exciting. Teams stack up and it provides great hockey down the stretch. But what goes up must come down eventually, right? Yeah, not really. I mean, Tampa Bay did that. It was with Kucherov. You hearing the garbage over my shoulder here? Is that what you're laughing at?
Oh, yeah.
Garbage day. It's Thursday, right? Yeah. No, Tampa Bay went up and never really did come down. They were the first to do this and won a Stanley Cup because of it, and they're still contending, and then this was being talked. Supposedly it was going to be talked about in the summertime at the GM meetings that you can't do this, but nothing's ever done about it. I don't know why. It just isn't. So again, if your GM wasn't smart enough to figure this out, like Kelly McCrimmon, or it was Yzerman, right? Or was it Brisebois? I'm sure it was Yzerman's idea, whether he was still there or not. Yeah. So I'm just getting a kick out of everybody whining and moaning about it. Regarding a couple of things, does Rick Folk want his record to fall like he's the last Saskatchewan skip to win the Brier from 1980? John Ohm in Winnipeg. Let me get it out. Let me get it. He says, my guess is Rick Folk is pretty humble and would love to see his record broken. That would be my guess, but and I believe he's on record as saying that it's time for Saskatchewan to end that drought. Glenn in Medicine Hat says Rick Folk's team won the 1980 World Championship and then didn't even qualify out of the Nutana Club the next season. Coincidentally, Mike McEwen's team is representing the Nutana this year. And so I was saying, is he like the 72 Dolphins who went undefeated all year, including winning the Super Bowl, and they don't want that to ever happen again? And every year when the last undefeated team loses, the remaining living players get together and toast it and drink, like literally in the street with a bottle of Dom Perignon here in Miami. Patrolman Pete writes in and says, I think it's probably more about giving the 72 Dolphins a chance to get together and reminisce. No, they get together a lot. Every single game they're together at the Dolphins. Trust me, I've been through the... Did I ever tell you that night? Oh, I'm ashamed to admit this. It was alumni night. I'd heard on the radio, it's alumni night. And Gil Scott, my agent friend, this is before I bought tickets, Gil was like, hey, come join me in the suite. I'm like, Gil, I don't have a ticket to get into the suite. He goes, well, just do what Rod does. I'll see you in the suite, 133. I'm like, how am I going to get in there? Oh, yeah, I got my Grey Cup rings. So I ran up to the security guard at the suite entrance. I'm like, hey, I need to get in there. My friend, my agent's in there. And they're like, well, you can't. Do you have a ticket, sir? No, I don't, but it's alumni weekend. I'm alumni. I didn't say of who. She's like, oh, get on in. And then Gil was like, I knew you could do it. Greg in Calgary writes in and says, I think the 72 Dolphins would be okay with another Dolphins team going undefeated. They don't want somebody else doing it. That's the sense that I get, but I don't think the Dolphins are close to doing that based on what we've seen lately. But I'll say it again. That's the teams that honor their alumni are the special teams, and God bless them, and the Dolphins are very, very good at it. Those guys are at all the games. Is Daniella ready to go? Okay. Moose, I'll see you in hour 2. Get ready for your breakaway picks and the NHL tonight.
All right. I'm warming up. I'm ready.
Okay. We will be right back. We're live on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Did you know you can catch all the best moments from the show on all our social media platforms? Now, back to the studio with Rod.
All right, well, we're just having a fantastic day. They all are, aren't they? And before we move into hockey, a note from my cousin Jeff Goda, who's watching in Calgary, talked about his father, Jack, who should be in the Hall of Fame, former coach of the Stampeders and Rough Riders. Norm Fong writes in, the Hall of Fame equipment manager of the Saskatchewan Rough Riders and Regina Pats. And he says, Rod, Coach Goda was a good coach to work for. Signed, Fongo. So there you go, Jeff. Your dad had the impact, and that's what matters more than any Hall of Fame, the positive impact. By the way, Natalie Spooner had a goal and an assist as Toronto won its 8th straight game, defeating Boston 3-1 in a professional women's hockey league game Wednesday night. I watched it. Let's bring her in now. Daniella Ponticelli called it. I don't know what network you were on, Daniella, in Canada. I watched it on Bally Sports, Florida. Looked like a hell of a hockey game. Were you having as much fun as it looked last night in the old, that was the old Maple Leaf Gardens, right?
Old Maple Leaf Gardens has been sold out all season, and it's fun. It is so fun in there. Also, just a great vantage point, selfishly, for play-by-play. You're very close to the action, so you really feel it. But it's just been electric. And I mean, when you start to add up all those wins, too, for Toronto, a team that was not great at the start of the season, right? People were going, oh boy, is this another Toronto team? No shade to the others, but, there's a lot of those conversations happening, but it was a lot of fun. Always is, but truly this win streak is special. It's now the longest active win streak in North American professional hockey, men or women, so really exciting times.
Wow, how about that? We need to rely on the people like you to let us know about those things. But let me ask you, this season has clearly, this inaugural season, this maiden voyage for the PWHL, it's gone better than people would have hoped, I would think, from what I can see.
Yeah, I mean, we heard it from Stan Kasten just last week. Even he said it's exceeded my expectations, meaning he had high expectations to begin with, of course, investing in this. And it really has in so many ways. And I think it's just because you don't really have a bar to go off of. And now we really see this explosion. That's a word that was used this morning. I heard, of excitement and energy around it. But it truly just goes to amplify the need and the desire from the fans, especially to have this access to women's hockey. And it truly is about access. You talked about watching it on Bally Sports. I'm at a bar Sunday and I'm watching it there too, right? That is what was missing. And I think not just that, a number of other key pieces too, but it just truly is a big part of this whole change and this instrumental change.
Well, I think a lot of the tidal wave of popularity is media-driven. There's been a lot of media buy-in for this because why? People watch the media. Newsflash. And I'm just going to nerd out media-wise here and ask you, what kind of reaction have you had? I'm sitting here on the couch last night in Boca Raton, Florida. I'm like, Serena, that's Daniella. I'm watching it, and she's like, holy crap. What else around America or even around the world reaction have you had to these broadcasts?
Honestly, so I'm always watching, right, everyone else's stuff too. I'm watching a lot of the stuff out of the States. And so I'm following along on the live reacts. Sometimes it's what's happening on Twitter. Sometimes it's what's happening on YouTube. I'm also watching it on my TV, all of that. And you are getting this instant engagement. And so much of it is focused on the hockey. So I'm just going to keep it there. And that's exactly what we want, right? I personally have heard, right, from a number of people across Canada, family of mine that are outside of North America. It is an exciting time, and just to kind of see how much access is being given right now to these broadcasts.
Here's my thing that's burning in my mind. I got to ask you. You are the voice of the Professional Women's Hockey League, as far as I'm concerned. You're it, so you would be the person I think to ask this to. All the team names don't have names. It's Boston, it's Toronto, it's Montreal. And I think that's super cool. Like when it was the Washington football team or the Edmonton football team when they were transitioning. I don't think they should ever go to team names. That would be mine. I would submit that. I think it's cool.
You're the first person I have heard ever say that. I've been asked about names every single interview I've done. Love the hot take, Rod. No, but truly, for me, it's to me, I'm just sitting back and enjoying what I'm going through and what I'm doing. And it was something at first. I've mentioned this before, like, oh goodness, as an announcer, you're just so used to having, an extra name, an extra thing. It's not that bad once you're in it, right? I don't even think about that. It's just Toronto, it's Ottawa, it's Boston, it's you just get into it. So from that point of view, I really don't have any sort of opinion on it. I just know that the names are coming. The league has said that. And I think that this inaugural season will always be special for that. And I also am a little jealous of all the people that have the original jerseys now, right? Because I think that that's going to be something that in the future, a lot of people are going to want is those original jerseys where it was just the city name. And I think it's always going to be part of the PWHL history now.
Well, it's too bad if that has gone too far down the road, because if you can put that forward to Stan, hey, there's my friend Rod in Florida. He thinks you should do no names. See what he says. As a guy that broadcast in the CFL when we had two teams with the same name.
Oh goodness.
Let's go with no names. We were used to back in the day just saying Ottawa, Saskatchewan, not saying Riders or Riders because it was too confusing. So there's that. Now let me ask you
this. It happens in U Sports as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I bet it does. Yeah, for sure. A hallowed rink that you're calling games in. What when the games are in Toronto? What do you think when you go in there?
Well, for me, it's very special because I was never there when it was its former state. So what I really appreciate is hearing from players, well, not players anymore, but head coach Ken Klee. We had a really great moment when he stepped in there, and he hadn't been in that barn since he played games there, right, as in the NHL. And so for him, he's just going, I'm just trying to piece together what I remember from the past and to see, okay, the roof really reminds me of where I am, but there's been so much change in that building. And so those moments have been really special, right? To kind of connect through their eyes and kind of see it. But it is just now, it's creating its own history, and there is always that tie-in, which is great to talk about. And also Verdun Auditorium is another historic venue in Montreal, of course, where the women are playing there, and they've had a lot of success. Montreal's team has in that building. So again, these two venues, of course, the seating capacity is always going to be the discussion, but to get to call games there and witness it is it gives me chills.
Yeah. Well, Montreal Forum's a movie theater now, which I don't care. I still go into the theater and still pretty cool to me. I wish they should play hockey in there. Hey, I saw you had some thoughts on Larry Dean retiring and joining the Saskatchewan Roughriders front office today. Would you mind communicating those to our audience?
Yeah, for those who don't know, of course, I worked with the Riders the last 2 seasons, and Larry Dean, it was always great to talk to him. And one of the things I'll always remember is he said, I'm not a quiet guy. I am, though, really committed to figuring out where I want to devote and give my time and energy to. So that even meant interviews, right? He's not going to put forth all of this energy if it's just not the right fit. And I always appreciated that about him because he truly was a leader on and off the field, always had immense respect from his teammates, which money can't buy. You've got to earn that. And I just love that his story, he got to complete his football story the way he wanted to on his terms after undergoing, that Achilles injury and able to come back. So I'm so excited for him and his future, and truly honored that I got to witness his last year's playing.
Interesting that you would bring that up, the energy component, or where he's putting his energies, because he's big on that. We did a live interview at Grey Cup in Regina, and when it was done, he just stared at me for a second. He goes, you got great energy. You made me feel really welcome here. Thank you. And I was like, oh, okay, you felt that. That's cool. So that's good. As do you, Daniella. Thanks for this. Keep it up, and we'll be watching from down here in Florida. Say hey to your guy.
Thanks, Rod.
To your guy for me.
I will. Right, Thank you so much.
Ponticelli joining us from Toronto. Adam Goss, of course, is who we're talking about, the public address announcer of the Toronto Argonauts. Okay, we got some good viewer questions have come in. And a sports update when we return. We are live on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
Everything I've worked for, everything I've sacrificed, has led to this. It's out of your hands now. All the gold medals in the world can't help you now. You could throw the perfect rock and still miss, but it just takes one. You leave it all out there on the ice to leave behind a legacy.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Everything I've worked for, everything I've sacrificed, has led to this. It's out of your hands now. All the gold medals in the world can't help you now. You could throw the perfect rock and still miss, but it just takes one. You leave it all out there on the ice to leave behind a legacy.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Did you know you can catch all the best moments from the show on all our social media platforms? Now, back to the studio with Rod.
All right, we're back, everybody. Great to be with you in this business. Great to be with anybody. Before I get to a sports update here, it's crazy stuff. I'll be happy when the trade deadline passes on Friday. For instance, I said, Flames fans, let's hear from you. Have you heard? Is this Jacob Markstrom's last game as a Flame tonight in Tampa? Ron Thompson writes in from Cowtown on the Sober Carpenter text line, 902-518-3033, and he says, Markstrom is staying in Calgary, except if he sits tonight. Well, that's not much to go on, Reg. According to the Score app, he's supposed to start tonight. Is this it? Or are they you don't mend fences like the ones they burnt last week. So it's still a headache. Ray is watching in Scarborough, Ontario, and he says, hey, Rod, I noticed the picture behind you. Just curious, who is in it other than you? Well, Brent, are you watching here in Florida? This is me in the red shorts. And that's my guy, Brent, from Florida, the one that I reference. He watches this show every day. He grew up in Regina. His parents used to build at Pat's. Moved here in 1997, never left. And we're both happy that we found each other through a Florida Panthers Facebook group. And as it turns out, we used to date the same girl. It's a Saskatchewan thing. Okay? So, yeah, he's become a very close friend of mine. I'll be seeing him tonight at the Panthers game. Brent from Florida is his name. Sports update. Playoff spots will be decided today on the last day of the pool play at the Montana's Brier. The top 3 teams in each of the 2 pools advance to Friday's round of 6, from which Saturday's 4-page playoff teams will emerge. Saskatchewan's Mike McEwen secured top spot in Pool B last night with a win over Nunavut. The last Sask skip to win the Brier was Rick Folk back in 1980. In NBA play tonight, the Raptors open a 4-game roadie against the Phoenix Suns. Toronto looking to bounce back from Tuesday's 139-98 drubbing to the New Orleans Pelicans. The Toronto Blue Jays aim for their 4th win in 12 Grapefruit League starts as they visit the Detroit Lions this afternoon in Lakeland, Florida. Pitcher Bowden Francis starts for the Jays against the Tigers' Kenta Maeda. Toronto opens the season March 28th on the road against Tampa Bay. This sports update brought to you by Common Crown Brewing Company, turning your everyday common beer into a unique and exceptional experience. Visit commoncrown.ca. Check it out. They're at all the beer vendors across Alberta, most in Saskatchewan. And moving into Manitoba, too, they tell me. commoncrown.ca. And also for Landmark Cinemas, coming to Landmark Cinemas March 22nd, Ghostbusters, Frozen Empire. In the latest Ghostbusters, the Spengler family returns to where it all started, the iconic New York City firehouse, to team up with the original Ghostbusters, who have developed a top-secret research lab to take busting ghosts to a new level. Starring Paul Rudd, Annie Potts, and Dan Aykroyd. Coming to Landmark Cinemas March 22nd, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Last minute of play in hour 1. So when Moose comes in next hour, we will play our breakaway bets. Okay. Saskatoon's Bob writes in with what we were talking about off the top of the show. He says, the Canadian women's soccer team, great game in unbelievable conditions last night in San Diego. Should have won. Predict gold in Paris. Okay, thank you. And that was the Gold Cup. That was on Darren's radar, not necessarily mine. I've been trying to focus on NHL Trade Deadline stuff, NFL, CFL, you know, the huge. But I'm not anti-soccer, so I appreciate those that have written in with the update. Not watching it, but I'll certainly mention it. Next hour, Alan May of the Washington Capitals. They ship Joel Edmondson to the Leafs today. Lots to get to after this brief pause on Game Plus and Key Radio.
At the Key Auto Group Pre-Owned Division, we're bringing back that new car feeling. No matter what, it's new to you and priced just right. No hidden fees, prices you can trust, an upfront buying experience. And it's all at keyautogroup.ca.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the City of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
What's your read on the Tarasenko to Florida deal?
Well, I like it a lot for the Panthers. There's no question. Expiring contract, no doubt. Senators get a couple of picks back. They'll split the remaining salary the rest of the way, right down the middle. They're loaded on the back end, as we know. This is a deep, experienced team that believes that they're confident enough to win. And if this is all they're going to do, I think Bill Zito feels pretty confident with what he's put together down there in South Florida.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Yes, it is. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Hour 2 of the RP Show. I'll tell you what, if this hour at any point drags, shame on us, because it is all kinds of stuff going on. I'm here in the South Florida studio. Game day tonight in Sunrise, the Florida Panthers home to the Philadelphia Flyers. The Panthers making news today. A lot of teams making news the day before the trade deadline. Let's please bring in the Moose. He is at the Montana's Brier in Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada, where it's the final day of pool play. And Darren, there's a whole lot going on. Literally, I got some things I want to get to, some things I want to get off the chest, things I want to explain to all of our new viewers across North America. So a lot to get to. Yeah, but it looks like we're live on Game Plus television, where a lot of our viewers are expecting NHL trade analysis, and we're going to do that. We're also on the radio in Atlanta, WQEE. Shout out Ryan O'Radio. And then, of course, streaming. And those that are watching on YouTube, Darren, our chat looks like a dog's breakfast. It looks like somebody threw up on it. All colors and comments from everywhere. All these leagues, all these teams, you know what I mean? All these themes. That's how much is going on. Brier, NHL Trade Deadline, the 72 Dolphins, some CFL stuff. They're all in the news here today. But I don't even really know where to start. Let's just start with the breaking news of today, okay? The Toronto Maple Leafs have acquired defenseman Joel Edmondson from the Washington Capitals. And by the way, coming up later this hour, Alan May will join us, Capitals television analyst. The deal was announced just 24 hours before the NHL trade deadline. Toronto sending a third-round pick in June along with a 5th-round pick next year to the Capitals, who are going to be retaining 50% of Edmonton's remaining salary. Elsewhere today, bear with me, Clark. Do you want to read them in my ear? I thought I could call them up on my... Chicago is sending Anthony Beauvillier to Nashville. Do I have that right? Are you there? Yeah, and what else? Beauvillier to Nashville. What else went on in the last hour? Do you have them handy? Right, Edmonton, and there's another one. Edmonton to Toronto.
Montreal
Maybe, Darren,
made a
you
deal.
have them. It's hard to keep up with, for God's sakes.
I know.
Montreal made a move.
They did. They made a minor move. I'm just trying
You've
to
got
pull
him
it
there?
up here, too, and make sure.
Oh, God, yeah. Okay, thanks, Clark. A prospect swap between the Habs and the Ducks. So we're trying to stay on top of it as much as we can. And you know what's interesting about all this? Edmonton's on the move, so he's going to be packing a bag and rushing to join the Leafs. I can't imagine that he would play with the Leafs tonight in Boston, but I know he won't be playing for the Capitals there in Pittsburgh tonight because they traded him away today. It's almost a traumatic time in a way. It is for the players. Like, I have yet to get confirmation out of Calgary from anybody, and I don't think anybody knows if this is Jacob Markstrom's last game tonight for the Calgary Flames. You looked up that he's supposed to be starting in goal, and by the way, I'm going to be with the Flames people tomorrow. We'll get a little more news on this Markstrom thing, but after him calling out management a week ago, it was last Friday, and then they can't move him? What a catastrophic situation. I have yet to see any evidence that he's going to be traded, Jacob Markstrom. So it's a crazy, crazy time right now in the National Hockey League.
Oh, is it ever? And we talked about it last hour that, you know, once the relationship is over, it's really hard to fix and you need to move on. But at the same time, what we also know is teams, management, owners, GMs, they don't want to be pushed around, right? So when you say, I want to trade, this is not where I want to be anymore, and New Jersey's where I want to be. Well, they don't want to be strong-armed. They want to make sure they get the best return possible, and so they don't want to be strong-armed either. So it's a bit of a standoff right now in Calgary. I'll be interested to see if Markstrom actually starts. Says it's confirmed tonight, but I'm curious if Markstrom will start, and then I'm also curious to see if he gets moved tomorrow.
Again, it's been reported that Markstrom starts tonight in Tampa. I don't see anybody saying that this will be his last start as a Calgary Flame at all. So that tells me then that he's not going to be traded. And holy days of our lives in Calgary. Who needs soap operas? Now, 902-518-33 is the Sober Carpenter text line, non-alcoholic craft beers. Got them over my shoulder. I got them here. Well, there they are. Ask for them by name at your local beer, wine, and spirit store. Regarding how crazy things are, Wayne in BC texts in and he says, hey, Rod, isn't it always this way? I feel like today's crazier than normal. Allie in Texarkana says, like a dog's breakfast. That was funny. I didn't mean for it to be funny. I'm just saying it's a lot to stay on top of. And this is where I said you're going to get a little example of how this show is different than all the other sports shows that are on the air right now. We're at episode number 1196. And when Darren came to me over 5 years ago now, I had just left my voice of the Saskatchewan Roughriders job that I had been doing for 20 years. You have to understand something, everybody. When you're the voice of a team, that's all you have time for. It's all you have time for in your life. And I see it here with the Panthers, man. They're at practice, and when you're not at practice, you're traveling, and when you're not at practice, you're at a morning skate, and there's no time for anything other than that team. And that was my life for 20 years. Something just popped into my head. I was speaking at a banquet one night in this little town east of Yorkton. I can't remember the name. It starts with an X, the town. Somebody will know. So some lady who didn't know sports, she leaned over to me while it was a mental health recovery event that I was speaking at, I think. And she goes, so she had no idea who I was at all. And she's like, so what have you been doing with your life? What's your career? I said I was the voice of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. So is that a job? Lady, It's been handcuffs on me for a generation. What do you mean, is that a job? What? But they only play 20 games a year. I'm like, I assume you think the priest only works on Sundays. Anyways, continuing this on, Darren comes to me along with the IKS people and said, can we, would you consider hosting the Rod Pedersen show? I'm like, what the hell's that? And it was a show that you came up with that was going to air on Facebook only. Facebook. And I'm like, and I distinctly remember saying to you, I can't do that. I only know one team. The Saskatchewan Roughriders. I only follow one team in the CFL. I'm not following the NHL. I'm not following Major League Baseball. I'm not following NBA or women's soccer or the NFL. I follow one team. And as it turns out, knowing everything there was to know about that team got me fired. But it is what it is. Come around to this, I'm kind of enjoying keeping my eye on what's going on with the Brier and what's going on with the NFL, free agency about to start up and all the rest. There's a lot. And I'll land the plane. This is what's cool, and how I've had to completely change my mindset and how to broadcast. Completely change it like a 180, Darren, because the Brier, you're sitting there, and from all accounts of what I've heard, Curling Canada is loving having us there, just like Hockey Canada loved. And they told us, having us at the Centennial Cup and the World Juniors and the NHL loved us broadcasting from the Stanley Cup Final and the NHL All-Star Game. But the thing was, back in the day when I was the voice of the junior hockey team, remember this one? It's the playoffs. The rinks jammed. Lineups for blocks to get tickets. And the competing radio station that didn't even know that we had a team in town shows up an hour before face-off with 1,000 mugs in the back of a truck, and they're handing them out in the parking lot. I said to our marketing guy, go flatten their tires and kick their ass out where they've been all year. And the marketing guy's like, well, no, we'll take all the pub we can get. He's helping them hand out mugs. And I'm like, well, why the hell would why? I've been here since day one of the friggin' inter-squad game, right? And then the preseason and travel, we're here every day. But what I'm realizing is you can just do events and pay attention from time to time. I don't need to know curling all year. As long as I know it for 1 week for the Brier and 1 week for the Scotties, everybody's good. What do you think?
Well, I don't know. I think the way that you've typically done things where you immerse yourself from day one is the way to do it. That's the right way to do it. But when you see somebody show up on game day, hasn't covered the team all week, and they get all the access and the stories and the scoops, it kind of makes you wonder why you put in all the time. But you know what? Doing it the right way is still the right way, even if there's evidence that others can take a shortcut or two. I still think it's the right way to do it.
Cliff Mapes was his name.
Probably watching.
Probably not. I think when we got on Game Plus TV, he ended up being our marketing guy with this show. Remember, our sales coordinator? When we went on Game Plus TV, I called him. He was in Calgary. I'm like, hey, Cliffy, we got a national TV deal. Can you believe it? Game Plus. He goes, really? I didn't think you'd last this long. He literally said that. I said, thank God you're not doing sales for us anymore. Anyways, John Ohm writes in, he says, I'm convinced now that Rod could do stand-up with ease. Boom. I don't even, what the hell are they talking about? Wayne in BC says, LMAO. Now, that was hilarious, Rod. What are they laughing at? This is all true. This is all true. This was not meant to be a stand-up routine. My life, apparently, is a stand-up routine. Darren.
What do you want, right? I mean, it is what it is. But they're having fun with it, and the old stories are great.
Okay. We'll get on track in a second, assuming there is one. Nelson, our VP of Sim Events, writes in and says, Rod, I watched you and Darren prepare to call a video game. There is no half-assed in your body. No, there is. I couldn't even, if I tried, I couldn't half-ass it. But we were taping the Cats and Bolts podcast yesterday where we talked Panthers and Lightning, which, by the way, Brent in Florida will be dropping this afternoon. We've got all the coverage of what the Panthers and Lightning did or didn't do on there. But there was a question that came in from the audience, a kid by the name of Alec. And he says, any advice for somebody that wants to start a podcast but has nobody to do it with? I said, you're asking the wrong guy because I treat this like brain surgery. What we do here. I said, this, but also the Panthers podcast. I said, I researched the best podcast studios in South Florida. That's how we ended up at Podcast Junkies. And look at the production. Are you doing it because you want to be a star? Or you want to get rich? Or you want to have fun? That's fine too, but think about why you're doing it, okay? Answer all these questions before you go in and let's start a podcast. Okay. I don't understand. They're all laughing, and I didn't mean to get them laughing. That's a byproduct. The poll question today is, which Western Conference contender has made the best moves this week, NHL Trade Deadline week? And our poll is for Key Auto Group. At the Key Auto Group, you can buy with confidence knowing that they provide reports on all vehicles they sell. Get fully informed about your next vehicle by going to keyautogroup.ca. I said if you're having a tough time deciding between the Edmonton Oilers, the Colorado Avalanche, the Dallas Stars, or the Vegas Golden Knights, go by who got the best player. And I think that's Noah Hannafin, and therefore it's the Vegas Golden Knights. With all due apologies to Ali in Texarkana, the Dallas Stars fan. They got Chris Tanev. Have they done much else? I think it's Vegas. And by the way, it's my commentary today at rodpeterson.com, running on Sask Radio. These GMs and hockey people are creatures of habit. You always know Kelly McCrimmon's going to be active at or leading up to the deadline. And I could tell you stories, maybe I will after the break, of how it used to be before the internet, when we were competing against McCrimmon and he was in Brandon and I was in PA, and it was about phoning. Who's got the last phone call? Leading up to 12:58, 12:59. Okay, calling the WHL office before the deadline to get Brian McCabe because we were trying to get him from Spokane, I think. You know what I mean? Now I think it probably, they're all getting it ahead of the deadline. But Kelly's always active with Vegas. Last year, Jonathan Quick, Ivan Barbashev from St. Louis, and they won the Stanley Cup. Will moves made this week win a team a Stanley Cup, Darren? We don't know, but it won't hurt, right?
Typically, we say that they don't, right? That they don't put you over the top, but they definitely help. They don't hurt. They don't make you a worse hockey team. And you know what? I do think, one of these teams that's, loading up is probably going to use that and win a Stanley Cup. I don't know. And the pressure is building on the teams that haven't done anything to make a move between now and the time the trade deadline hits. So I'm curious to see what else comes down the wire.
Yeah. I'll read more of your comments when we come back. I knew that this would be a good show today. Everything is happening. We're covering as much as we can. Patrolman Pete in Winnipeg writes in and he says, I'm looking at a map, and I'm guessing that town was Roxton. Haha. That's the one east of Yorkton that I spoke at. I'm sorry, I said it started with an X. It has an X in the middle of it. But I'll be doing more speaking this spring and summer, but I don't miss traveling all those miles and doing, I like getting there. What is my guy, Mydale Mike says, I like going places, but I don't like traveling. I remember a moose crossing the highway between Yorkton and Roxton that day. It was sun. You see why so many people die in car crashes. The sun's right in your eyes. And there's a 6'2" moose crossing the middle of the highway. And I'll never forget. I'm like, dang, that bugger's tall. But I'm still mad at that lady. She's like, you were the voice of the Rough Riders. Is that a job? I could have wrung her neck. Alan May on the way from the Washington Capitals. We're live on Game Plus TV, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
Everything I've worked for, everything I've sacrificed has led to this. It's out of your hands now. All the gold medals in the world can't help you now. You could throw the perfect rock and still miss. But it just takes one. You leave it all out there on the ice to leave behind a legacy.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Everything I've worked for, everything I've sacrificed, has led to this. It's out of your hands now. All the gold medals in the world can't help you now. You could throw the perfect rock and still miss. But it just takes one. You leave it all out there on the ice to leave behind a legacy.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. I appreciate everybody rallying to the cause and helping me out as we play geography today. Moose is at the Montana's Brier, and we got a lot of questions come in pertaining to the NHL Trade Deadline. A lot of trades going on today. The biggest one, Joel Edmondson going from the Washington Capitals to the Toronto Maple Leafs for a couple of draft picks. Alan May joins us next segment to talk about it. I just dipped in the Sober Carpenter text line, Moose, and at 902-518-3033, I said I was speaking just a few years ago at a town east of Yorkton that started with an X. I can't remember it. Stu Smith He's a fireman in Chilliwack, BC. He writes in and he says, I can't find any places in Sask that start with an X around Yorkton. There's a V, a W, and a Z. Maybe you're thinking of Roxton. Yeah, we got it. Together we all got it. Scott in Moose Jaw says, the Scott writes in, he's watching on Game Plus TV. He says, was that small town Roxton, Sask? Yes, thank you. We got it. No more phone calls, folks. I think we have a winner. And before we delve into more NHL, and do not let me forget to play breakaway picks, because when we don't, people get up my ass about it, Darren. Scott in Moose Jaw says, Team Saskatchewan is just playing so calm and cool at the Brier. First time since 1980. Mike McEwen, the first team to advance, clinch a playoff berth at the Brier. How much here are they talking about? I could see how now he would start to get a little nervous. But I don't know. You're there, not me. What's the word? What's the vibe? That Sask hasn't won the Brier since 1980, Rick Folk's team. And now this is the best chance they've had in quite a while.
He doesn't look nervous. He doesn't look nervous. He doesn't sound nervous. He sounds actually quite relaxed and focused, which is a kind of a, bit of a scary combination when you can be focused and relaxed at the same time. They're going about it the right way. So to me, Brad Goushew's been playing well and been getting better and better. But I think Mike McEwen from start to finish, and Botchers look good too, but Mike McEwen's team from Saskatchewan maybe has looked the best of anybody here through the first number of days at the Brier.
Okay, so thank you for that. And we're so happy to be live at the Brier with Moose, brought to you by Curling Canada. John in Winnipeg writes in, he says, did the Vegas Golden Knights load up at trade deadline the year they won the cup? Asking for a friend. Yeah, they did. That was last year, John. And you know that. I appreciate you asking. Jonathan Quick, it was a depth move. Ivan Barbashev. Again, I will say this, and I'm not going to name names, but I go to every single NHL game here at Sunrise, Florida. Phillies here tonight. And the odd game now in Tampa Bay. Flames are there tonight. We still have not figured out if this is Jacob Markstrom's last game or not. Sounds like it isn't. But I see some players dogging it. Not on the Panthers, but on other teams. And all I will say about Kelly McCrimmon teams with the Vegas Golden Knights, and before that, Brandon, they never dog it. They never dog it. And it's not just, you understand, it's not just about trades right now. And not like they're going to win the Stanley Cup every year. I'm just saying he knows what he's doing. Like Ryan Reeves was shown the door in Vegas. Wasn't personal. Kelly had him in Brandon. I'm sure he loves Ryan Reeves. But I think that a few years ago when the going got tough and they were playing Dallas in the conference final, the year Dallas won and went to the Stanley Cup final, Ryan Reeves couldn't keep up. He could not, speed-wise, keep up to the pace. And he was scratched in some games in the playoffs. This day one guy, but when Kelly said, you can't keep up, you're gone, I was like, his days are done. And that's why I was a little shocked that the Leafs signed him. My point is, he knows. He just knows. JB, watching in Winnipeg, says, Rod the Bod, the Jets need a right winger. Chevy better pull the trigger this year, and don't say Monahan is it. LOL. Well, I'm not a general manager. We discussed this yesterday. Let them do their job. That's not going to stop people from being armchair GMs. They love it. I don't. But they're going to look at their list of right wingers, and if there's one there that works, they'll acquire him. If there isn't, they won't. The Jets are fine. Like Florida would have been fine without Tarasenko. They're just a little bit better. But the Jets haven't done much this year. Last year, is it Shvetnikov that they acquired? Made a big difference. He's still making a big difference. Are we waiting on Winnipeg to do something, I guess, is the last thing I'll have to say on that.
I think we are. But at the same time, you and I both said, you know what, if you've got a good locker room and you finally got the culture fixed, why mess with it and potentially bring somebody in that, unless you're very, very, very sure that it's going to work with your group. It's a volatile group over the last couple of years. You've got it working right now. So there's no need to make a lot of moves. Monahan has come in and been a nice addition. I think the Jets are okay, even if they don't make a move.
I wouldn't. I've been saying all year I don't think that they should. Colin in Ottawa writes in, he says, it's a fire sale in Ottawa. Make a ridiculously low offer to our rookie GM and see if he bites like yesterday with Tarasenko getting traded to your Panthers. Well, that's actually a win-win. Tarasenko wasn't probably going to re-sign in Ottawa anyways, so to get anything for him is a win. But that is, Steve Staios knows what he's doing with the help of Dave Poulin. They've come in there and had to clean up a massive, massive, massive mess. This is the one thing people don't understand, and they will never understand. So that's why I'm sleeping great. I've realized they'll never get it, Rod. You see the logo, the Ottawa Senators. You still think of DJ Smith. You still think of Pierre Dorian. I always want to say Pierre Gauthier. Pierre Dorian. It's not them anymore. These guys got to clean up what those guys screwed up. Okay? So you know what I mean, Darren? It's like Dallas. I was talking the other day with Les Jackson. He's the senior advisor to the Florida Panthers, and he was my dad's boss. He hired my dad in Dallas in 1988. And I said, actually, Serena said to him, your title's senior advisor. What does that mean? He goes, well, I live in Texas, so actually we say it's the senior advisor. And then he got into what he does with the Panthers. But he is like, but again, he was in Dallas forever. Craig Button, my dad, Bob Gainey, Ken Hitchcock, every last one of them is gone. Every one. Every one. That's just the way life goes. And in Ottawa, Colin's mad at the trades that they're making. The guy's been on the job for 5 minutes. Steve Staios. But that's something that he's just got to live with. And I will just say this before we do play breakaway bets. Where did it go? Or did he delete the comment? Brent in Florida here, the guy who's holding that 40-pound sailfish with me over my shoulder. I don't know where his comment was, but he said, not betting for the Panthers tonight, guys? Something like that. He's catcalling me for not picking the Panthers the other night when they won in New Jersey. Newsflash, I'm not going to be a homer anymore. I was for a long time with my teams, and where'd that get me? So I was saying to Serena last night, we were driving home from, we always go to the Yard House date night after we tape our podcast, and I said, I like the Panthers. I don't love the Panthers, and I don't know that I'll ever love the Panthers because I don't want to have anybody have me by the cojones anymore, right? And that's why we call it the Cats and Bolts podcast. A, we're not using their name. B, we got the other team too. I like them a lot, but I don't love them, and I think that's going to serve me really well when it comes to betting on them and picking them and covering them. I'm not going to be fanboy for anybody ever again. Are you ready to play, Moose? I know you are.
I'm ready.
Are you ready to pick up your socks? That might be a more appropriate question.
Yeah, I've got some work to do, so I'm feeling the pressure. Let's put it that way.
Okay. What we do here is straight up bets, Darren and I, for that night's games in the National Hockey League. And for whatever reason, it's really resonated with our viewers. I don't know why. They just have. The Washington Capitals at the Pittsburgh Penguins. Two teams kind of going in different directions, I would suggest. Who wins?
Give me Pittsburgh.
I'll take Pittsburgh, too. They're actually going in the same direction. Down the toilet. Toronto at Boston. Who you like?
Got to go with Boston.
Really? Why? Why do you have to?
They got the Leafs number because they got the Leafs number. When Boston plays Toronto, the smart money is to bet on Boston.
I get it. Yeah, I get it. I'm going to take Toronto, though. You watch.
Ooh.
St. Louis Blues at the New Jersey Devils tonight.
Give me St. Louis.
Okay, I will. I was going to go Blues, but I'll flip it. They got to get that win for Travis Green. It'll be tonight against the Blues. Watch. Okay. Montreal at Carolina. I'll go first and take the Canes. You?
Okay, I'll take Montreal. Pick up another win. Upset.
How about that? Philadelphia Flyers at the Florida Panthers. Oh, Tarasenko debuts tonight on a line with Alex Barkov and Sam Reinhart. Ho, ho, ho. They're going to shoot out the lights in the scoreboard tonight. The Panthers will win. Tarasenko's starting line with Barkey and Rhino. Who do you like?
Yeah, I'll take Florida too.
Okay, me too. I didn't say that I was, but I am. The Calgary Flames at the Tampa Bay Lightning. Who do you like?
I got to go with Tampa.
Okay. Yeah, me too. Sorry. I had to think about that twice. The Edmonton Oilers at the Columbus Blue Jackets tonight. Who do you like?
The Oilers goal. I'll take the Oilers.
Okay. Me too. Buffalo at Nashville.
I'll take the Predators.
Yeah, me too. It's a definite Predators dub. Minnesota at Arizona. Who do you like?
I'll take the Coyotes tonight in this one.
Perfect, because I'll take the Wild. Vancouver at the Vegas Golden Knights. Vancouver. Ooh, that's a good one. That could be a Western Conference Final preview. Who do you like?
Great game. I'll take the Canucks.
Okay, perfect. I'll take Vegas and Noah Hannifin's debut. Islanders at San Jose. This one doesn't need to be close. Who do you like?
No, get Islanders. Probably for both of us.
Yeah, me too. The Ottawa Senators at the Los Angeles Kings. Who do you like?
Kings.
Yeah, me too. Ottawa belongs in the OHL, not the NHL. Moose, we are out of time, I think. Do we have Alan May logged in? Not yet, but he will be soon. Okay, so lastly, give me the Brier vibe. That's our... Oh, he logged in. So he's ready. But what do people need to be paying attention for today at the Montana's Brier?
Yeah, playoff spots. PEI trying to lock up just their second playoff berth ever at the Brier. They need a win over the Northwest Territories. I think Jamie Cooey's still alive if he gets a win, but then it gets really messy in the standings with Canada, Sluchinski out of Alberta, Jamie Cooey, and PEI. So it's going to be really fun figuring out all the playoff scenarios. But by the time we go to bed tonight, we will know who makes the playoffs tomorrow.
Thanks, Moose. Enjoy the curling. Say hey to all my people.
I will.
We're going to talk NHL Trade Deadline with Washington Capitals TV analyst Alan May when we return. We are live on the Game Plus television network across all of Canada and 31 U.S. states. We're on the radio in Atlanta, WQEE, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
Everything I've worked for, everything I've sacrificed, has led to this. It's out of your hands now. All the gold medals in the world can't help you now. You could throw the perfect rock and still miss, but it just takes one. You leave it all out there on the ice to leave behind a legacy.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
I'm Brier. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Everything I've worked for, everything I've sacrificed, has led to this. It's out of your hands now. All the gold medals in the world can't help you now. You could throw the perfect rock and still miss, but it just takes one. You leave it all out there on the ice to leave behind a legacy.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Oh, yeah, he's back. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hey, everybody, just ahead of some more NHL Trade Deadline talk, listen up. I just want to send a special shout-out to my guy Kirby, Cazell, and Suds Full Service Car Wash. They got us on live. They're right now talking sports with our great friends in the Queen City. Kirby says we're always on. Thanks for having us, Kirb, and hope you're having a great one. Let's bring in Alan May now to dissect this trade. Biggest news of the day, I think, the Maple Leafs acquiring defenseman Joel Edmondson from the Washington Capitals for a pair of draft picks today, just over 24 hours prior to the NHL trade deadline. Great timing, Alan, to have you on to discuss this trade. What are the Leafs getting in Joel Edmondson?
I think what they're getting is a big defenseman. He's 6'5". You can't teach that. You can't grow that after you draft them. And he plays a vicious game on the wall, inside the defensive zone, in the corners, in front of the net, behind the net, anywhere inside the D zone. And he's a straight shooter. When he gets the puck in the offensive zone, he sends them to the net. He's not a playmaker. He's a first pass guy. And I like the simplicity of his game. I think Toronto actually needs more of that to be a playoff contending team. So there were a lot of teams in the hunt for Joel Edmondson, and they all wanted them for all the exact same reasons that I described.
And then Mantha to Vegas, cue the fire sale out of Washington. Your thoughts on that trade and what this means for the Caps franchise?
Well, first of all, for the Vegas Golden Knights, they get a player who is on his game this year. 18 of his 20 goals are at 5-on-5. That led the Washington Capitals. He basically played third line all season. One of the best defensive players at stopping rushes, one of the best offensive players at getting the puck into the zone. He's got more of a mindset to get to the net this year to shoot the puck. And in my opinion, didn't get to play enough. So you put him in Las Vegas where they're missing Mark Stone now. He's a large 6'5" player that can skate. He can fight. He can hit. And he's totally engaged in the game now. I think he's figured out what he needs to do to be successful. I don't think he ever got a fair shake under Peter Laviolette, in my opinion. But with the Washington Capitals, trading these players away right now, they've got a lot of good players that played in Hershey, and a lot of them made the roster this year. They won the Calder Cup last year in the American Hockey League, and they've got players who are percolating, who are close to being ready, and I think you have to give those players opportunities and get them in the lineup, see where they're going to be. The Capitals have really been up and down all season, like 10-game segments where they're pretty good, 10-game segments where they're kind of struggling. And this gives the young players opportunities. It gives management, coaching an opportunity as well to look at those players and see what they're all about and if they have NHL careers as regular players.
I saw the headline the other day. Golden Knights acquire Capitals forward. And I was like, oh, please let it be Evgeny Kuznetsov. Because you know me, I love a good recovery story. It wasn't that. And maybe Vegas and Evgeny, maybe not a good fit right now. But what is your take on where he's at and what's next for him? He's been so great for you guys for so long.
Well, he had been very good for the Capitals, but I think it's time for a change of scenery. I don't know if it's going to happen, but you know, he lost a little bit of trust this year with the quality of play, and now that we realize there were something behind that possibly, and you look at, you know, the most important thing is make sure that he stays in recovery and that he does all the necessary steps to stay healthy and be the best person he can be for not just himself, but his young family. And when I look at him, he's the most talented player, in my opinion, outside of Sergei Fedorov. But as far as Capitals draft picks go, he's the most talented player they've ever had. A smooth skater. He can go up and down the ice, doesn't even need to lift his legs. But he needs to be motivated. And I think a change of scenery would be high motivation for him. And the only way I could see him leaving here is the Capitals would probably have to, well, they would have to eat half of his salary. He's got one more year left on it at $7.8 million. Probably have to entice you with a draft pick or a prospect. Otherwise, I'm not sure what the future holds for him. But I don't know if he'll ever play a game for the Hershey Bears. He's with them on their road trip right now. I think they're in Charlotte. I don't know if they play tonight or tomorrow. But he was dazzling. He was amazing. He could have easily won the Conn Smythe Trophy when the Caps won the Cup in 2018. And I've loved watching him over the years. He's also frustrated me. I've been very frustrated with him over the years about, I'm a big guy when it comes, I don't care what your salary is. Whatever it is, I want you to earn it. And I don't care if Ovi was making $750, if, you know, Bex Malentine's making $750. No matter what your amount is, I think you need to earn your money. I'm not sure if Evgeny had done that the last couple of years. So you definitely know how great he can be when he's totally engaged. And I think the best thing for him, if he really does want to play in the National Hockey League and be a guy that can help a team, is put his best effort forward. And the biggest thing is staying in the right side of recovery for his own health and welfare and benefit.
I'm sure you're tired of talking about the Capitals, and our viewers have questions for you that don't pertain to the Caps. But I just want to ask you about Ovi. I saw them come through here a couple of weeks ago. As you know, they were up in the third, lost. Panthers came back and won in overtime. How's Ovi dealing with the fact that clearly, is it officially a rebuild? Like, they're selling off. How's your star, who's in the twilight of his career, feel about this, do you think?
Well, you know, the biggest thing, he understands the business of the game. Remember, he came here. There was a complete sell-off to get him, to make sure that, you know, they were one of those teams that could get him. And it was between he and Malkin, and, you know, they kind of bluffed everyone and made it sound like they were taking Malkin. They picked Ovi, and those first few teams weren't that good, even though he was that good. He's not the same player he used to be. I think he still has to elevate his play for the remainder of his contract and make sure he does everything he can in the offseason to reclaim his career. I want to see him end it as a true superstar. And as the team is selling off, you know, he hasn't been at his best this year, but it's just part of the business, and everyone's got to deal with it because he needs to be better. Everyone needs to be better. Coaching staff, everyone on this roster, goaltenders included. No matter who gets the jersey, I want them all earning their money and putting their best foot forward. It doesn't matter who your teammates are. Once you pull that jersey on, you are an NHL player. Play like it, own it, go for it, and do everything you can to be the best you.
He mailed it in here that night, and I said as much, and I had Caps fans just jump down my throat. And I'm like, you can't live on what you did. It doesn't work that way, which is what you just said a lot more eloquently than I ever could. John in Edmonton writes in, he says, breaking news, the Oilers have reportedly acquired Troy Stecher from the Arizona Coyotes, according to Jordan Schmaltz. What do you think about the Oilers have done? Not just this move with Stecher, but Sam Carrick and Adam Henrique.
Well, they were in a lot of talks with the Capitals about forwards and bolstering their team. And the biggest thing I look at with this Carrick and Henrique is they add to the bottom six of their team. They're both gritty players. Henrique's got a lot more upside when it comes to offense. And I think appropriately placed, they help the Oilers. The Oilers, when I look at them, I watch almost every one of their games. That's my hometown. I love Connor McDavid and Draisaitl and what they've been able to do to revive that building. or actually build that building basically. And it is kind of sad when you see them get dumped out of the playoffs. I think this gives them a better roster. I still believe they're one right-handed defenseman away from a trip to the finals. And, you know, if you get to the finals to win the cup, you need luck, you need health. That's part of the luck as well. And the right mix, the right formulation at the right time. Sometimes seventh defenseman like we had in Washington in 2018 with Michael Kempney, who may have been the eighth defenseman in Chicago at the time we got him. And for some reason, he fit in very well with John Carlson. I look at these guys going to Edmonton. They didn't sell their soul to go after these players. They appropriately fitted them. And they're not stuffing players, too many players like the New York Rangers last year. I couldn't figure out, why did they keep adding players? Why did they get Kane? Why did they get Tarasenko? They play the exact same spot on the power play. And all of a sudden, no one's happy there. And, you know, players they're getting bumped out of their ice time. All of a sudden, a little bit of Panarin in a backseat, the Banajada backseat, Tarasenko and Kane not getting to play as much as they can. And had you just taken one of them, I think you'd have been a lot better off. So I think Edmonton's been very methodical here in what they're doing. They've done something great under Knobloch. And I think they're a better team the way they played than the way they played last year. It's the system is so much better. They're a better defensive team. And these two players that they added up the middle really add to the quality of the hockey team.
We've got 60 seconds. Randy in Winnipeg wants to know your thoughts on Rasmus Sandin getting 5 years, $24 million from the Caps.
Well, I think for what they gave up last year for him, and you know, he's pretty good at the puck. He's still got a lot of development as young defensemen do. You know, it could turn out to be a bargain. It could turn out to be a tough one. He's got a lot of growth left. He's still a little up and down as a player, but the skating ability and the upside is there. It's a matter of the commitment without the puck going forward, and that's what the coach's job is, to teach these players how to be better. And everyone, you know, when they're at home looking at their cap friendly and evaluating the contracts, remember, it's not your money. Don't worry about it, and just see where the chips fall as these contracts play out. There's been a lot of guys who have made top dollar, a lot of guys who have made bottom dollar that haven't earned a buck of those contracts. And I think Rasmus Sandin is a project in the making that has picked up his play in the last month. The upside is there. The commitment has to be also for him to be successful.
It's a busy day. Thanks for fitting us in, Alan. Appreciate it.
Take care, Rod. Thanks for having me.
Washington Capitals television analyst Alan May. We'll be right back with Overtime after this on Game Plus TV, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
Everything I've worked for, everything I've sacrificed, has led to this. It's out of your hands now. All the gold medals in the world can't help you now. You could throw the perfect rock and still miss, but it just takes one. You leave it all out there on the ice to leave behind a legacy.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics, Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. BDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
At the Key Auto Group Pre-Owned Division, we're bringing back that new car feeling. No matter what, it's new to you and priced just right. No hidden fees, prices you can trust, an upfront buying experience. And it's all at keyautogroup.ca.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
You got something to say? You want to add to the show? What are you waiting for? Don't just sit there. Say something. Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Here we go, everybody, on Overtime, brought to you by our friends at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. And a lot of times they say Calgary's the center of the hockey world, but there's a lot of centers of the hockey world a day before trade deadline day. But it is the hockey capital, and what better place for a shooting lane spot than Calgary? Check them out at 28th Street Northeast, where skill and fun collide. And they've added lacrosse, and they've been getting busier and busier. Check them out on their social media, too, at Overtime HL. Check it out and tell them Rod sent you. Overtime Hockey Lanes. Just checking the TSN. I mean, you can do that, but I guess you're watching this show for us to do that. The live trade center blog, the Edmonton Oilers have indeed acquired defenseman Troy Stecher from the Arizona Coyotes. Last year he went to Calgary and then signed back in Arizona in free agency, and now he's an Oiler. Thank you, John Kirby in Edmonton, for alerting us to that first. The Colorado Avalanche are acquiring forward Brandon Duhaime from the Minnesota Wild. He's a Florida product, aren't they? The Avalanche were the busiest team Wednesday, adding defenseman Sean Walker and moving out blue liner Bowen Byram to the Buffalo Sabres for forward Casey Middlestat. The Montreal Canadiens acquiring forward Jacob Perreault from Anaheim in exchange for forward Jan Mysak. Predators acquiring Anthony Beauvillier from the Chicago Blackhawks for a fifth. And on and on and on. The big news out of Florida here. Two things, actually. They're home to the Philly Flyers tonight. Vladimir Tarasenko is going to make his Florida debut on the left side of Alexander Barkov and Sam Reinhart. Woo-hoo! I feel sorry for the Philly goalie. I can't wait to be there. It's going to be big fun in American Bank Arena tonight. And they'll be celebrating this news. Panthers announcing today they have signed defenseman Gustav Forsling to an 8-year, $46 million contract extension, and also signed forward Joe Gadjevich to a 2-year extension. He's a tough guy. Gadjevich, and he's been very outside of hockey, there are other sports, believe it or not. Derrick Henry is back in the gym, eager to prove turning 30 is just a number that shouldn't affect the 4-time Pro Bowl running back's value in the NFL open market. The challenge is that the man who organized a group chat among the league's top running backs last year to find out his own worth and exactly what teams are willing to pay for experience with a bigger salary cap. Derrick Henry has company with stars such as Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, and Tony Pollard. all poised to hit the market next week as well in the National Football League. Will some teams show them the money, or will they have to be patient and take less? I guess that's what we're all looking for. NFL free agency starting next week. Sports update brought to you by Landmark Cinemas. In Landmark Cinemas now, Horizon, an American saga. In the great tradition of Warner Brothers Pictures' iconic westerns, Horizon, an American saga, explores the lure of the Old West and how it was won and lost through the blood, sweat, and tears of many. Produced by and starring Kevin Costner. In Landmark Cinemas now, Horizon, an American saga. And we're also brought to you by Common Crown Brewing Company, turning your everyday common beer into a unique and exceptional experience. Visit commoncrown.ca. It was a day of breaking news, and not just with the National Hockey League trades. News out of Ryderville. I see a lot of coverage on that, a lot of talk of that. Linebacker Larry Dean calling it a career after 8 solid seasons in the Canadian Football League, and he leaves as the 25th all-time leading CFL tackler. That is amazing to me. And again, reminding you that they didn't start tracking tackles in the CFL till the 90s. Still a remarkable feat. Larry Dean, 25th all-time in CFL tackles. He's a 4-time CFL Division All-Star, by the way. He's joining Saskatchewan's front office. And, of course, we've been broadcasting all week and into last week live from the Montana's Brier. Playoff spots will be decided today on the last day of pool play of the Canadian Men's Curling Championship. The top 3 teams in each of the 2 pools will advance to Friday's round of 6. Saskatchewan's Mike McEwen secured the top spot in Pool B Wednesday night, beating none of it, 9-3. He is the first team to qualify for the playoffs and is looking to become the first Saskatchewan skip to win the Canadian Men's Championship since Rick Folk in 1980. Now, I feel like we can actually talk about it because he is in the playoff round. Way to go, Mike McEwen. There's a lot of teams to cheer for there, and the fun is just actually picking up. And the rain is here. How about that? Thank God I covered the Jeep before the show. We'll be seeing you tonight. Follow our social media channels from American Bank Arena on a very big night of the National Hockey League. And we'll see you tomorrow, noon Eastern, for a Football Friday right here.
Who has more fun than us?